Are you feeling completely swamped by AI news? It seems like every day there's a new model, every hour, some groundbreaking app. It's just, well, that's a lot.
It really is. And you want to know what actually matters
Right.
without spending hours sifting through it all.
Exactly. You want the signal, not the noise. And that's why you're here with us.
And we're here to help you cut through it. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Think of this as your curated briefing on the AI stuff that's actually making waves right now.
Yeah, we've gone through a ton of tech news, industry reports, all from the last few days, really.
And we've boiled it down. We looked at sources covering, well, everything from the big challenges companies face trying to use AI to the new tech powering smarter systems.
Right. Our mission today, spot the key trends, flag the surprising stuff, and give you the insights you need to understand where AI is heading, like right now.
And it's a pretty wide range. We'll touch on things like, software buying headaches, but also AI in healthcare and even, believe it or not, using AI to slash food waste.
Okay, let's dive in then. One of the first things that really jumped out at me was this ODSC report on AI adoption hurdles. I kind of assumed the tech itself would be the main problem.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But actually, the number one roadblock they found, a lack of knowledge. 52% cited that.
Wow, over half. So it's not the tech complexity itself, but just not knowing enough about it.
Exactly. It's about understanding how to frame the right use cases.
Yeah.
Having that foundational ML knowledge across the teams
Okay.
and just figuring out the vendor ecosystem. There's so many options now. Plus, leadership often struggles to see a clear ROI.
That makes sense. If you don't understand it deeply, it's hard to justify the spend or even know what's possible. It really hits home why getting up to speed quickly is so crucial for you listening.
Absolutely. And right behind knowledge, at 51%, was budget constraints, which, again, isn't surprising, but it's not just the price tag of the AI model itself.
Right. It's everything else.
It's the initial costs, sure, but also the cloud infrastructure, the data pipelines, finding or training the people who can actually build and manage these things, integrating it. It all adds up.
You really do need that whole support system. The report also mentions security and integration issues, tied at 43% each.
Which is logical. You're often dealing with sensitive data, so security has to be locked down.
Yeah.
And then just the practical headache of plugging these new AI tools into your existing tech stack and workflows, it's often not straightforward.
Things often aren't built to talk to each other easily.
Precisely. So you need good governance, you need explainability, understanding why the AI is making certain decisions, and interoperability so systems can actually work together.
And then there was cultural resistance, lower down at 30%, but still significant.
Yeah. And that human element is huge, isn't it? People worry about their jobs. They might be skeptical of these sort of black box algorithms.
Or just hesitant to change how they've always done things.
Right. So it really highlights the need for good change management. You need to communicate clearly, maybe shift the narrative away from AI replacing people towards AI empowering people.
That's a key shift.
And the report noted how interconnected these are, right? Lack of knowledge definitely impacts budget decisions. If leaders don't get the scope of the investment needed, not just tech, but people too, the whole thing can just stall out.
So for our listeners, maybe data professionals or team leads inside companies facing this, what did ODSC recommend? Any practical steps?
Yeah, they offered 3 key things. First, actively advocate for education and training. Build that AI literacy across the board.
Okay, makes sense.
Second, start small but strategically. Pick pilot projects that solve a real business problem and can show a clear, measurable win fairly quickly.
It's some runs on the board.
Exactly. And third, build alliances across different departments.
Yeah.
Work with IT, legal, HR, operations. Everyone needs to be involved to handle the wider impacts.
Solid advice. Build knowledge, show value, work together. Okay, so shifting gears a bit, away from the challenges and towards the exciting new tech, AI agents seem to be a really hot topic.
Definitely. This feels like a step beyond the chatbots we're used to. We're talking about more autonomous systems.
Autonomous how?
Well, they're powered by LLMs, but they can actually plan, use different tools, and take actions to achieve goals. They're not just reacting to prompts.
Okay, so more proactive.
Exactly. And Mistral AI just made a big splash here with their new Agents API. They're really pushing the envelope.
Mistral. Yeah, they've been moving fast. What can these agents actually do with this API?
Quite a lot, actually. They've got a built-in code interpreter, basically a secure sandbox to run Python code.
Oh, interesting. So they can write and execute code?
Yep. For coding tasks, data analysis, automating stuff. They also integrated image generation using a model from Black Forest Lab.
Image generation within an agent. Okay, that's
Yes.
different. What
Uh,
else?
Web search is built in. There's some chatter it might use Brave Search, potentially with direct news feeds,
Mm.
and a document library for user-uploaded files, enabling R-Gray retrieval augmented generation right within the agent.
So it can use your specific documents to answer questions or perform tasks?
Exactly. And importantly, it supports something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP.
MCP. I've seen that acronym pop up. Why is that a big deal for agents?
Think of it like a standard language, or maybe a secure adapter that lets these AI agents talk to external systems and data sources safely and efficiently.
Ah, okay. So it connects them to the outside world.
Pretty much. For instance, Apollo GraphQL just launched an MCP server. It uses GraphQL to act as a gateway between agents and enterprise APIs.
So the agent could say, access customer data or trigger an order through an existing company system.
Potentially, yes, in a controlled way. We saw another example with Bright Data's MCP server working with Google's Gemini LLM. It's basically giving these agents secure keys to access and use a much wider range of information and tools.
That unlocks a lot of possibilities. They're not just stuck inside their own model anymore.
Right. And Mistral's API also has this idea of agent handoffs.
Handoffs, like passing the baton.
Kind of. One specialized agent could delegate a specific subtask to another agent better suited for it. It allows for more complex workflows.
Interesting, though I wonder how efficient that is in practice.
Yeah, the jury's probably still out on how widely it'll be used for everything, but it points towards collaborative AI systems.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting, OpenAI has its own agents SDK too. So this whole push towards more capable agentic systems is definitely an industry-wide trend.
It really feels like the plumbing, the infrastructure is being laid for these more sophisticated agents. What about new models? Any specific breakthroughs there?
Yeah, a few interesting ones. Google DeepMind introduced AlphaVolve. It's an AI agent designed specifically to discover and optimize algorithms.
No. AI designing better algorithms.
Kind of meta, right? And Mistral, speaking of them again, released DevStral. That's an open-source LLM specifically tuned for software engineering tasks in complex environments, helping agents code better.
So AI, helping AI build things. What else?
NVIDIA put out Llama Nematron Nano 4B. It's pitched as a really efficient reasoning model, good for edge devices. Think AI running locally on your phone or car, and scientific computing.
Smaller, faster, but still smart.
That's the idea. There was also work on Quenlong L1, focusing on handling really long text inputs, which is key for analyzing big documents or code bases.
Right. Context length is always a challenge.
And then a startup called Spatial is doing something cool,
Yeah.
building spatial foundation models. The goal is AI that understands and can generate 3D environments, like with physics.
AI that gets 3D space and how things work in it, that feels like a step towards robotics or more embodied AI.
Could be. It's definitely a different angle. The variety is pretty amazing.
Hmm.
Now, how is all this actually being used? Let's talk real-world applications.
Yeah, let's ground this a bit. The food waste example you mentioned earlier sounded fascinating.
It really was. This was a trial in the UK with an AI tool helping companies like Nestle figure out how to redistribute edible surplus food to charities instead of letting it go to waste.
Okay, so optimizing logistics and matching supply with need.
Exactly. And the results were staggering. One factory reported an 87% reduction in its edible waste during the trial.
87%. That is genuinely surprising and shows a massive tangible benefit. What else?
In healthcare, Tampa General Hospital launched an AI system aimed at minimizing delays in surgical operations, making things run smoother, which is obviously great for patients.
Yeah, efficiency in hospitals is critical.
We also saw more work on AI for spotting brain tumors early, using fine-tuned models like Google's Palagemma 2, and research into using AI for things like optimizing glucose control after cardiac surgery, and even generating synthetic immune system data, T-cell data, using JANs, which helps researchers.
So better diagnostics, better operational efficiency, even helping with fundamental research. AI is really embedding itself in healthcare.
It seems so. And beyond that, the UK is apparently deploying AI to boost security in the Arctic.
Wow, okay. Geopolitics, too.
And in finance, you've got insurers like AXL using AI for commercial risk assessment, and banks like Wells Fargo applying it to manage complex banking risks.
So it's really spreading across pretty much every sector you can think of.
Yeah.
Okay, but with all this progress, there are always wider impacts, right? Business implications, societal stuff. What did the sources say there?
Well, the jobs question is definitely present. One report suggested AI might already be shrinking the number of entry-level tech jobs.
The starting roles.
Yeah, and Telstra, the big Australian telco, explicitly said they expect workforce reductions because of AI efficiencies, especially in customer support.
That aligns with that Cisco prediction too, right? About AI handling most tech support by 2028.
Exactly. 68% was the figure they predicted. It points to a potentially significant shift.
It does. It's a conversation that's not going away.
For sure. On the business strategy side, there was this interesting concept called the AI waterfall.
AI waterfall. Sounds
Yeah.
refreshing.
Maybe. The idea is about cost effectiveness. You use cheaper, faster methods, first like simple rule-based systems or even rejects for easier tasks.
Okay.
And you only escalate to the big, expensive LLMs when you really need that higher level intelligence. It's a tiered approach to manage costs.
That makes a lot of practical sense. Don't use a sledgehammer to crack a nut, basically.
Right. We also saw WordPress forming a dedicated AI team, which is a big deal for the web publishing world.
Yeah, that impacts millions of websites.
And Meta is reorganizing its AI division into distinct AI products and AGI foundations units. Seems like they want to speed up both current applications and long-term AGI research.
Splitting focus to accelerate both. Makes sense. What about the broader societal debates? Ethics? Regulation?
Well, the discussion about publicly owned LLMs continues. There was a letter in The Guardian arguing for open models developed with public good in mind, not just profit.
That's an ongoing tension.
Definitely. And on the misuse front, there was that case in Australia, a potential $450,000 penalty for someone posting deepfake images of women.
A serious penalty.
And Civitai, a big platform for AI models, banned content depicting real people. That hits the non-consensual AI porn ecosystem pretty hard.
Important steps for safety and ethics. Any regulatory news?
Nick Clegg from Meta warned that forcing an opt-in for AI training data in the UK could harm their AI industry's competitiveness, that classic innovation versus regulation tension.
Right.
Interestingly, one study found so far at least no major impact on overall wages or working hours from chatbots like ChatGPT.
So the immediate disruption maybe isn't as drastic as some feared yet.
Seems that way for now.
Yeah.
And finally, a sort of VC trend, buying up older traditional businesses and injecting AI to automate and boost efficiency.
The AI inflation of existing industries.
You could call it that. It really feels like AI is just weaving itself into everything.
Yeah, that's the big picture, isn't it? AI is evolving incredibly fast, impacting everything from how companies operate, the tools we use, the jobs we do, and these huge societal questions.
And it circles back to that knowledge gap we started with. Understanding this stuff is becoming fundamental.
Absolutely. Because the progress in areas like AI agents and the infrastructure like MCP enabling them, it's all pointing towards even more capable, more integrated AI in the near future.
It really is exciting, and maybe a little daunting too.
So maybe the final thought to leave you with today is this. As AI gets deeper into our lives, our industries, what are some of the really unexpected ways it might change things? Our daily routines, our jobs, things we haven't even considered yet.
Yeah, and what new questions should we be asking now to get ready for whatever that future looks like? Something to think about.